Computer. We are recording. The floor is yours.
Hi, I'm Stephanie, and dating in Nigeria is like giving someone the permission to ruin your life.
Oh, wow.
Very serious.
Well, hi. I'm so excited
Yeah,
to meet you, get to talk to you in
me too.
person, if we will. Um, so, first off, introduce yourself, where you live, introduce your country for those people that don't know it well.
Okay, so hi, I'm Stephanie. I live in Lagos, Nigeria. Nigeria is a country in West Africa. I'm a writer, I'm a teacher as well, or a teacher in training. Um, and I enjoy watching Netflix. So that's about me and where I am, or who I am, and my country. And a fun fact about my country is we're said to be the largest Black populated country in the world. So
Awesome. Awesome. And how did we meet?
we met on LinkedIn. So I think I made a reply or a comment on your post about something interesting I saw. So I'm from the Igbo tribe of Nigeria, and I think I saw you put a picture of an American former activist, I think, whose name is Chisom. And in Nigeria, that has a meaning for God is close, or God is with me, or God is following me. So it felt like, and she was Black, so obviously I'm thinking her roots might have been Nigerian. So I commented there, and
And
we entered, and then
I've been
we
doing research on Nigeria because I this is a country that I wanted to talk to at the time, and then like the next day, so in Nigeria there are three main tribes, the Igbo being one of them. Oh, and please, if I ever say anything incorrect in all of my research and things like that, please correct me. Don't let it continue to be said. Otherwise,
okay,
I can't learn, and other people can't learn. So please
true,
feel
I
free
will.
to
Okay,
correct me at any time.
okay.
Um, and yeah, to immediately see the Igbo mention a day after I had done all of this research, and I was trying to find it. I think the quote was, "If they don't give you a seat at the table, bring your own folding chair." And
Yes, yeah.
that's the type of stuff I subscribe to as well too. My own personal one is, "Don't wait for your boat to come in. I'm building it by hand." So
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a good one. Yeah.
again, yeah, and then just randomly be like, "Hey, da 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 da." We struck up a little email conversation, and I was like, "So I've got this project." So
Yes, exactly.
thank you for agreeing to be here. Do you speak or read Igbo?
Very well, yes. I'm very fluent.
I do.
Obidimuto, ịnọnyere gị. I think, yeah. Obidimuto, ịnọnyere gị.
It's,
Is that for me?
yeah, I mean that's the best Google can do. So please, that's all I can.
Oh, that is so sweet. So it basically says your heart is joyful that we're here and that we're doing this, I think,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
Oh, thank you. That's nice. Dalu. So
I
Dalu
was
is
trying to give
thank
an
you.
Easter egg for or something for every country at least, so people from your culture and country that are watching it can see something because, as you know, words matter, representation matters, everything matters. Um,
Exactly.
so here we
Thank you.
are. So again, thank you for agreeing to meet some random dude a world away. So
Thanks, Hunt.
let's start with right now of like where COVID is for what day it is, how COVID has been, where you are now, and kind of where you're headed.
Okay. So currently I'm at home. I'm in my home. I'm at the dining actually because my home office is having some issues. And it's almost 4 p.m. in Lagos. And with the COVID situation, if I really have to be honest, it's a hot mess. You know, people there's a definite spike in cases, but for some reason the government isn't putting down like lockdowns on particular places. So it's basically just don't go to the movies, try and keep social distancing, nothing that can be measured. So you have people who think they have COVID every other week because there's nothing being done. But then everybody here believes in we're gonna survive it, we're immune to it, we have herd immunity. So dicey.
Are you guys going up from where you've previously been, or down from where you're in a second wave, or like how would you describe it?
Yeah, okay. So I think at first it was going all the way up and then it came down. And then now we're experiencing the rise of a second wave. So people are still trying to treat it like, oh, did we just like, get through with that?
There are idiots in every country.
Exactly. So it's like, please stay home, please wear your masks. But everyone thinks you're just fussing. So, or most people, yeah.
Yeah. And it really is interesting how you now see some people that you've known for a long time in the way that they're choosing to behave or take in the information they're choosing to take in. Just, so
it's making you see how people really think,
This is what I was telling my wife is all this is doing, aside from this, but it's ripping the cover off of everything that already existed. Now
exactly.
we just had a freaking coup. I was doing research into your last election, which was peaceful. I'm sure like every country, there's going to be some corruption and stuff that goes in it, but for fuck's sake, man,
it was really bad. Yeah, it was. I'm so sorry. Sorry for all of
this
you.
Is why, this is what a fantastic backdrop the COVID and everything is, which is one of the reasons I kind of wanted to start doing this too, because when we all look back at this, aside from the project, the initial quest, there's going to just be this backdrop of humanity, however many years this takes, with some serious stuff going down. So it'll be interesting to see how we as a culture and we as a planet ride this out for the next couple of years. So cool. That's going
hopefully sooner. Yeah.
More funner stuff. So take me back, like historically, as far as you can, into your land. However you want to describe it, whether the tribe, the culture, the political delineation of the country after World War II and stuff, and how what relationships or stories or things like that. Anything you want to take us?
Okay, so I think what I know is as far back as the 60s, 70s, and that's because you've read books about how relationships were, and I'm a writer as well, so I've also written things set in those times, and the way the relationship was then is so different from what it is now. So first of all, we have things like feminism that has helped with the way women in relationships are viewed. Our mothers and our grandmoms and our grandparents, the idea of a relationship is, say you are 30, you're grown, and then your parents are telling you, oh, it's time for you to marry now, like you have to get into it. And then the next thing, your parents are finding you somebody who's like 19 years old from your father's cousin's village. I know, right? And then in 2 weeks, the wedding is done, and
was that the practice in the 60s and 70s, or is that still in practice these days? Yeah, not necessarily everywhere, just.
Yeah, so I think it's in practice these days in some parts of the country, but it's not a mainstream. So I'm married, but I'm 23, and I chose and I decided who I wanted to. But there are some cultures, or there's some people who are still living in the archaic times, probably based on like religion or something, and they feel it is still proper to marry women off because they still see women as properties. So because we're in a system and culture that is not as advanced as you would expect, marriage is still seen as something done to help a man and something a woman has to do when she comes of age.
So all the tribes and stuff were still patriarchal and
exactly, all the tribes, all the tribes. There's no one that's different. All the tribes believe that. It's just over time, maybe because people there's obviously more education, there's thoughts and learning, so people are beginning to change how they view these things. But probably up until the last 20 years, things hadn't changed much. But then in the last 20 years, then you see, of course, the millennials are grown up now, and the other generations are not as, involved in what we do on now. And then the Gen Z is coming out now. It's a whole shift from the patriarchal, typical African or culture where certain things must be, or, it's changing. And then with the pandemic now, the concept of dating and marriage in my country has changed so much from what it used to be.
Like, I mean, it's changed in all of ours, but please, like.
Yeah. Okay, so before now, Nigerians aren't really the type to be involved in blind dating. So we have trust issues, and it's like, if I don't know who I'm meeting, I am not going to meet the person, right? So you have to know, say, if you ask me or say, I have a friend, Thomas, who like to meet you, I have to see Thomas's face, social media, everything.
Totally.
But because a pandemic happened and now you don't have the access, and at first people were still trying to struggle with mental health. So everyone was meeting everyone, still struggling, right? So everyone was like, do you know what, it's fine, I'm ready to make new friends. So there was a rise in conversations on Twitter, Instagram. There was a lot more communication. And I think because the world had to rely on people online, you had to rely on your conversations not being physical anymore. So I think that affected us in a good way, because now we had a lot of COVID relationships, like start off, people got married, people had
people are looking for like hibernation partners or quarantine partners. Like,
exactly.
I'd rather a bad choice than no choice, for this time.
Exactly.
Like, that's what I was saying to, like, I've got 2 young kids, one that's 10 months old and one that's 3. That was its own struggle. But
so cute.
I can't imagine being like, especially in like one of those New York City tiny apartments, single, like that's in a gray room, box, can't leave. I understand why people are making bad choices. Not bad choices, making choices that endanger them, because I would go crazy, literally, crazier, living in this sensory deprivation chamber. So
You're right. And that's exactly what it is. People were almost forced to be in these relationships because it is better than just not, like, mental health, no jobs. You just have to have some relationship somewhere. And people, it was a spike.
Yeah. This is one of the reasons that I'm doing this kind of is the one take, and at this moment, out of you're 5 out of 200 countries. Let's see where we'll be when we get into 100. Maybe I'll have a TV show or a film crew, but I think it's also important to we're not all okay at all, and that's cool. I mean, it's okay because we're all going through it, dealing with it.
Nothing figuring out exactly.
Far from perfect, but that doesn't mean that we can't move forward in some sort of a way. So here we are.
True. And then, I was also going to say that the way marriages work have also changed, or weddings, do I say? So in my country here, we have weddings that are so expensive, lavish, you have like 2,000 guests, and then COVID happened, and then first of all, a lot of people postponed their wedding. So people who had planned to get married in, say, March, April, May, were moving their wedding all the way till like September, thinking it was going to be gone by then. And then the other people were thinking, I don't know how long this is going to last. I might as well just do something for my family alone. So I felt like 2020 was the beginning of intimate small weddens. It was like a wave. It was like almost everyone was doing it.
There's a direct
it was saving lots of money.
At least here in the US, there's a direct correlation with the amount of money spent on the wedding and divorce rates. Like, the more you spend, the higher the chance you're going to get divorced, for all of the reasons that, we can understand, demanding, or it's all about, showing up the next door neighbors, all that kind of stuff. Where did you get married? What was your ceremony?
So luckily for me, I got married 2 months before the pandemic. So I got married January last year. Yeah, my anniversary was
Happy
over the weekend.
anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you. So, but the thing is, I had always been the one who did not see a reason for the typical Nigerian lavish wedding. I felt like it was so much pressure on the spouse, so much pressure on your finances and everything. So we had
Dude, I'd
already
rather
said we
buy
were
a
gonna have
house
something
with that
small.
money, you know?
And we did, and we did. And I'm so happy we did that, because if we had spent all the money people wanted us to spend, 2 months after, we would not have known that there was something crazy about to happen to the world, right? So we did something so small. It was probably like 12 people, like our parents, his parents, and then like probably 2 or 3 of our friends, and that was it. And we found out that that was the best thing we could have done. I mean, people were thinking then, like, are you crazy? Why would you do that? My mom was out of her mind, like, how dare
And
you
now
deprive
you're
me
like
of
sitting with
this?
your like,
I'm like, what were you saying now?
well, this is what everybody was saying. Like, well,
Exactly.
who could have known? Well, obviously, that's why you plan ahead.
I
Like,
know, I
so
know, I
have you ever
know.
heard
So
the phrase black swan event?
do we have any?
A black swan is a rare thing. A
No,
black
we don't
swan
have that
event
here.
means something that you cannot plan on. Like 9/11 was a black swan event because you would not have planned on how that went down. What you can plan on is how you react to, you can't plan the weird thing, but you can plan how you're going to react when that weird thing happens.
Happens.
And
True.
I think that, yeah, of course,
True.
you're like, well, I didn't know this. Like, well, I'm glad that we're ready.
I know we're ready. I'm so happy. And like the rest of the year, just sort of people were people were just hoping that it would end. So people were making marriage plans and dating plans, saying things like, oh, once the pandemic is over, I'm going to go out, meet boys, meet girls. The pandemic isn't over. So it's like, are you not going to, like, I mean, people, it's just changed how people view things. All the things you say, okay, tomorrow I will do, or when the pandemic is over, I will do. The pandemic hasn't ended, and we're still waiting for it to be over. And it's it's changing how we see dating, how we see relationships and dates as well, because the usual dates are mostly restaurants dates and beach
Totally.
dates. And now it's like, oh, what are we gonna
We
do?
are we like right now in the New York City area, it's winter. Like for half of our country right now, there's snow. So there's actual a climatological divide, but among
Mm,
how people can date in our country. Everyone up north, no one's going to be walking through freezing rain to take a walk down by the bay in 40-mile-an-hour winds. We'll just be celibate, masturbating a lot. But the people down in the South can do things. So it's really, and people are moving because of this, like that unknown quality. Like even us, we've had the wild thoughts
yeah.
and discussions like we're going to be trapped for the next 5 months in cool or too cold to freezing weather inside, no matter where we are.
With 2 young children.
So my daughter was born March 2nd. The day that we left the hospital, March 5th, was the first day that hospital had its first day of COVID. So we hit it on the day. So she is the
No
physical man,
way.
like she knows nothing else. Well, then we went into lockdown on the 15th, the first quarantine. She is the physical manifestation of the length of this pandemic. She's
Oh my God,
almost
that is
walking now.
true.
So I look at her and I'm like, yeah, it's been
You're as
that long.
old.
It's been that long.
Oh my days. But do you know how lucky you are though? Because the first case in the hospital, I would have been so scared.
100%, man. I saw something that day. We knew that it was like out there and we'd been studying and it seems weird. We were even asking, excuse me, the
Sorry.
last day we were there, all of the doors were suddenly closed in the hallways. you know, like in along like hallways, like a school or something like that. They've got multiple sets of doors that they may or may not. All those were closed on all the floors. There was 3 times the amount of doctors on each floor. You know, just kind of one of the things you just walk through and you're just kind of like.
You're probably thinking, what's going on?
And then
Oh
we
my
had
God.
the orderly that was coming in was helping us pack up stuff. My wife asked about COVID, and she's like, "Yeah, this is," and to her gave a not honest sounding answer. And it was only like the next day or the day. And as we're leaving, you know, my wife's like, "Don't touch anything," you know, like
Yeah,
get the hand
yeah.
sanitizer. And so, yeah, and then we found out like the next day or the day after. So immediately had the 2 week fear, the fear existed from day one. Um,
Exactly, for you. Oh my God, that is a story I have not heard.
so
Wow.
this is why I love sharing, because it's all, we're all learning about each other, and everybody has it a little bit
Yeah,
differently. And as we know, the only way to come together, if we will, is education and knowledge of
true,
people. And
true.
so when you know, unfortunately, most of my country, like probably like 95% of my country, couldn't point to Nigeria. Because, and that's a failing of our education system, not of individual
True.
people necessarily.
Obviously. Yeah, yeah.
You know, so you know, my wife is from Puerto Rico and of Filipina descent. So I've got a mixed race family that is very exciting and wonderful, and culture. My wife
Yeah.
has ancient Yoruba blood, basically from
No way.
back in the day, because so basically, peoples wise, her name is Sotomayor, which is Scandinavian for mayor of the grove of trees. Came from like Sweden through into Spain, then to the Canary Islands, and that's where the slave trade happened a lot through the Canary Islands that came
Yes,
over. And then
yes,
the
yeah.
Yoruba mixed with the Taino blood, the native blood in the Caribbean,
Wow.
along with the conquering blood as well. So my wife has all of this blood,
Can you look
you
at
know,
that? How
rolling around.
small is the world? I can't believe that. So basically, your child is of Yoruba descent.
Yeah, and on my side, my family was here in the United States. The first recorded instance of my family is in 1592 in this country, and 2 of my ancestors signed the Declaration of Independence. So I, like, my family has like kind of helped
Oh,
build this. That's one of the reasons that Capitol coup insurrection thing. Like, I was on my knees crying, because not only was that a penetration of the a symbol, you know, a symbol that
mm-hmm.
let happen somehow. These people didn't deserve to stand up there. My ancestors helped build this, and my country has lots of problems. I would say I'm a critical lover of my country, you know, so that's why it impacted me a lot. But yes, I have, my children have wonderful blood, and my wife has said, she's like, I love the fact
Mm-hmm.
that my daughters are daughters of the American Revolution, as well as
As well
all of
as,
this
yeah.
stuff as well too, which is really what.
Especially in a world that is trying to sort of discredit our history. You know, I mean, you would understand more in America how racism is, and it's like
We were never
we have
taught about these Tulsa massacres or the overthrows in North
exactly.
Carolina of coup d'etats. Like, I can understand why we weren't taught that, but you know, as someone that's always been a very strong ally, I still was uneducated about the specific struggles that a lot of my former countrymen have faced. So yeah, we need to come to a reckoning
Mm.
here. We need to figure this shit out.
Mm-hmm.
My wife says, she's like, you know, this country's got a lot of problems, but of all the countries to have your thumb on you, at least we've got a decent country that has our thumb
We're in
on
a
us.
free country. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? Anyways, so what would be let's go to the like ideals, like what's, because basically the way I look at it is dating is trying to understand the ideals of your culture and showcase it. You know, if it's macho, you become and try to be macho. You know, if it's rich, you try to become rich. You know, so what's an ideal man in Nigeria? And I know this is very subjective, you know, but like,
Yeah,
you know,
but
when you
I
see
think
like
I
a
speak
movie
for.
star or someone that, you know, everyone
Mhm.
looks up to or something, who is this person? What is it?
So first of all, in Nigeria, we don't have a culture of celebrities and relationships. Nigerians are the sort of people who would see a star at an airport, for instance, and walk by because they can't be bothered to say hi, even though they really care for you. So, but when it comes to the ideal man, I think Nigerian women, first of all, and I'm speaking for, my experience and what I've seen, it's mostly men who have money, who have good jobs, like
What is a good job?
financial.
Like, is it a landowner? Is it a business owner? Is it a car
Okay,
dealership?
that's a
What's
good
considered like
question.
an idea, you know, one that you're like, oh, all right.
Yeah. Okay, so a good job will be someone who is from a manager and above. So any job in particular, if you were in marketing, you have to be like, a marketing expert, so marketing lead or something. Nigerian women are very careful not to date and allow me say this, but poor men. It's almost like you're wasting your beauty or you're wasting your time and your resources. So the ideal man would be someone who's rich. We're not so big on skin tone because we're, mostly black. We just have light skin black and dark skin. So very, yeah. So in the saying called tall, dark, and handsome, TDH. Yes, I mean you probably know that. So that's a thing here as well. So the
Well,
light
like for
skin.
instance, you know, that's good because it's so like if there's a phrase I think in China like the nail that sticks out gets hammered. So
Ah,
meaning like, you know, don't. So the ideal man is someone that does not draw attention,
yeah,
you know, or something.
yeah,
So it is so interesting to
and
see.
that actually works for some women here. So the prettier the woman is, she's more likely to not go for an equally handsome man, if that makes any sense. It's like, I don't want a handsome man because that then draws the attention of too many girls, and then I don't have time to wait them off. So they mostly go for the ones who look good but not too good, and then they go for the ones who have a nice body but not too chiseled, like packs and abs and all of that. So some Nigerian women, so the older they get here, say from 25 to 35, there's something we call dad bod, right? I mean, yeah. So dad bod seems to be more in vogue than the six packs, and I don't know why, but it's a thing happen. Hans is like, yep, that's me. So you would literally be the ideal man
Well,
in
because
my
this is
country.
one thing that, you know, I've realized
Ideal.
over the years too is that what's pleasing to the look and pleasing to the touch and pleasing to like the mentality are different things. Yeah, come on. Who wouldn't want to take their hands and rub it down a rock hard body? But the mind behind that is a gym rat that doesn't want to go have fun, that watches everything they eat, that they're constantly in the gym,
Yeah.
picking on your food. And it's like that's
Body
not a
conscious, Mm-hmm.
yeah, even if they have a healthy relationship with their body, and there's many times where you don't with body dysmorphia and things like that as well too. So yeah, I think because there's a phrase I learned in script writing in that the exterior world mirrors the interior world. Like if it's a
Mm-hmm.
dark and stormy night, what's going to happen? It's not going to be a buddy comedy. Someone's going to get shot. If you're wearing a red dress, you're not shy. The exterior world's mirroring the interior world. So when you can see a dad bod, you can come to some conclusions, like not letting himself completely go, but not too concerned about
True, true.
this.
And then they also like sort of think that butt men are more responsible. They're living in some sort of relaxed mood, it's a thing of, oh, they're richer, they're kinder, because they're more in touch with pleasure for themselves than for pleasing however the world
Or
thinks they
trying to
should
show,
look
yeah,
like.
you're trying to showcase what you've got. You're still trying to bring it in.
Exactly.
I saw that,
And
something
then
like that. I used to be a fashion writer, and when we go to Fashion Week in New York City, which is just its own amazing experience. But
I
I
hear.
noticed an inverse relationship with the how dressed up you were and the amount of power you had. Like, you're an intern,
Mm.
these guys were like, wow, look at me in this crazy outfit that, I'm here. And then like Calvin Klein walks
Teeny.
in with like jeans and like an old t-shirt because he doesn't have to make, so
An
it's like
impression,
you see somebody
true.
like underdressed and you're like, oh, who's that?
True, true. Oh, that I think that is actually something that we apply here without knowing that's what it is, because it's like most women just, and then we actually used to be a six pack people, and we just sort of moved. It's like, yeah, six packs is nice, somebody's nice, but at the same time, like, that bod for the win.
Awesome. No,
So
it makes sense. And as a dad bod owner, I wholeheartedly behind this.
champion.
What about women? What is an I and let's because obviously what was an ideal woman in say the 60s or 70s is different, I'm sure, than what an ideal woman
Obviously,
is now. So
yeah.
help me, talk to me about the differences in time and what it is. And
So the ideal woman used to be one who knew how to cook, clean, be humble, quiet, obey, the
I'd assume
subservient things.
beautiful.
So to bust your bubble, they didn't really care much for beauty in Nigeria in the 16s, 17s. No. Beauty for women became a thing when women started, going to school, and it became more of, okay, yeah, how can we differentiate them now? Then women were judged by how much of good moms they could be, how much of birthing moms, or how strong they could do with the home
Is that your
stuff and the
husband?
rest of them.
Hi.
Yeah, babe. Hi. He's going to
Hi.
frame you. He's saying hi.
It's quite all right. Nice to meet you.
So nice to meet you. He can't hear you, but I'm saying it, and he's saying it too. So, but now beauty is almost in fact, beauty is the first thing now.
That's
So
so interesting. So previously, it was more about the capabilities of keeping a home, if you will.
exactly.
That's
Yeah.
so cool. I mean, very interesting. And now beauty has come into it. So
And now
cool.
it's
Very interesting.
beauty, and I think they're even adding physique, So
Oh, right.
I don't
Yeah.
want to
What?
be part. Exactly. I don't want to fuel a stereotype, but it might be true that, African men, Nigerian men are like often go for the bigger women, curvy, the Beyonces basically, right? So there seems to be more appeal for them. But at the same time, we live in a culture that fat shames, So it's like you can be curvy, but they expect you to not have any belly at all.
Total. You have to
You
be
know,
curvy in only the right places to be curvy.
exactly, and it's like,
Do you
and
back just about when you talk about Nigerian men saying like stereotypically or whatever, obviously anytime we have conversations on dating, we have to make oversimplifications and overgeneralizations. But do you feel that that's different than the surrounding countries, or that that's a similarity culturally on the continent?
I think it's similar because I have spoken to, first of all, it's even worse in places like this, like South, right? So when the West African men go to places like South, where most women there are more
Do you speak the
endowed,
south of
I
the
would say,
continent or south of your country?
of my continent.
Okay.
Yeah. So say South Africa, East Africa, they're the ones who even have. So it's like when people from here go there, it's like it's it's the same. They can tell that the men, I mean, all over the continents, there's what is seen as an ideal figure, if I would say.
Mhm.
And the ideal figure isn't really someone, unlike where it is in US, where it could be like a size 4, 6 person. You have to be like 14 here, like that's the ideal. Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I mean, we look back at the Renaissance time, and the paintings of uh, Rubenesque, if you will, larger women,
Mm.
and seeing how the ideals of beauty has changed too. Because also then in those times it was a brag, like look what I can eat, you know. Just yeah, and then there are times like in the '90s here in the U.S. we had heroin chic, where the women had to be
Mm.
like, you know, this
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
now, and then you have J Lo come in, and that brought, and Beyonce, and that brought some stuff out. Like I
Exactly. And
will,
then the Kardashian sisters as well. So there's a culture of it being
yeah.
like
The
in
Kardashian
vogue.
sisters built that. I could build that if I wanted to. On the
Oh,
other side, they had that. I mean, there may be a little bit of additions here and there. This is
I
no.
hear
This is
you. Oh
it's
yeah,
perfect.
yeah. Beyonce and J Lo, yeah, they're the okay.
Right.
I hear what
Now,
yeah,
I just,
yeah.
and remember, I married a Puerto Rican with Yoruba blood, so I am
True.
okay with this, you know, conversation. I'm
Oh my
just
god, you
saying.
have the best of both worlds.
I am not gonna lie,
Oh my
man.
god. I actually should have said to you, my husband is Yoruba as well. So for someone like me, that's like a mixed. So
Dude, yeah, let's, so
that
like
would be
that was kind of one of the questions too. Just, are there mixing of the
yeah.
tribes? Is that totally cool? Was it always not good? Is it not good
It
now?
is
Like, how is it viewed?
so it was if okay, so say 30, 40 years ago, on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being we're cool, 0 meaning we're not cool, they were on zero. You know, it was as bad as how it was with blacks marrying whites all the way far back, like 60 years ago. And then recently, people have become more defiant. It is not 100% accepted. I still know friends who have had to break off their engagements because one is Yoruba, one is Igbo, or one is Hausa, and one is from like, Ijo or something. And,
Is it
you're
more about the
deprived.
tribes or the religions? Because I know that like Igbo's primarily Christian and then
Yeah, yeah.
the more Muslims up in the northeast, right?
Yeah, yes, you're very correct. Okay, so first of all, the Igbos and Yorubas are Christians too. So, but even among themselves, it's more of a tribe thing than a religion thing. It's more of so. For instance, the Yoruba people, when I want to greet my mom or my dad in the morning, I have to kneel to greet them. Meanwhile, in the Igbo tribe, I can just wave at my dad, So those are contrasting. So for someone like me who is Igbo to Yoruba family, you would understand that there's a lot of reorientation. Most parents just don't want their kids doing that. Most parents don't want to have to deal with, and most of them still carry the hurt from the civil war, which I think might be the Nigerian Biafran war, which I think might be the reason they have that strife as well. It's like the Igbos believe the Yorubas betrayed them. So therefore, as long as we shall live, you do not marry from them. So you see, if you have to marry, then you have to fight your parents, fight your uncles and aunties. In my case, the only way I could win this fight was so we have this traditional thing where so you know how in America you're engaged, you just like wear your dress and suit and you're done. Here you have to do what they call traditional rites. And these things take so much money and time. So for me who is Igbo,
Whose tradition?
my husband
What tradition? What are the like?
okay, okay. So in Nigeria, every tradition, every tribe, every culture has a traditional rite they
Okay.
observe. Observe. Yeah, everybody has theirs. Some tribes are more than the others. For instance, the Igbo tribe, they're very notorious for almost extorting the family of whoever wants to marry them. So, for instance, I'm getting my right, told my parents, and the first thing was my dad's entire family, his brothers, sisters, everybody thought, oh, okay, you're basically the equivalent of your husband has to bring an equivalent of let's say $5,000 to prove to us that he's really interested in marrying you. And it's like, why do we have to do that? And then on top of that, they're asking you to pay what we call a bride price fee. And then they always want to try to tell you how important the bride price kids, but then this culture comes from misogyny, where we live in a culture where you could see a woman you liked who was 19, pay her dad, and you take her off. Like, it's 2021, people. What the hell? We don't do that here. So these things are fueling, and our parents are the Gen X's, and nobody's trying to listen. So intertribal marriages here are seen the way interracial marriages are seen in America. It's, to us, people look at us and think, oh my God, how are you doing it? You know, how is it purposeful? And I'm thinking it's just the same thing, but because we're in a country where tribe is as big as race for you, it's almost like you married someone who's Yoruba. Wow. And then I'm like,
and then
come on.
accusing him of all of the sins of his ancestors.
Yes. So basically, we have that culture where you're blamed for the errors of your father, your grandfather. And it's like, why are you holding a 24-year-old person for a war committed 50 years ago? Like, how does that affect me? And these things cause issues because most Nigerian youths are not married because, or some of them, I won't say most, some of them aren't married because of things like this. You know, we're trained to not marry someone from here, from there. So from a young age, I even had my parents tell me to, don't bring Yoruba home, or don't marry Yoruba. And it's like, and then they tell you to a point where you grow up, and whenever a Yoruba person comes to meet you, you're immediately so tribalist.
If you've been told something 1,000 times, you can't not have some built-in feelings about that.
Exactly. I had to unlearn. He had to unlearn all those things as well for us to come to just like how you unlearn sexism, racism. We had to do the same. You know, it was that much of a work. But I mean, it's people do it, but it's not allowed. It's not like the thing. Some people have disowned their children from doing that. You know, some people have cut their family off. Some people have cursed their children because, you know, Nigerians here, we believe in curses.
I did lots of my research. I know your mythologies and Obeas and
exactly. So you know that parents are out here cursing their kids because they married a different tribe. And it's worse for Igbo and Yoruba for some reason. I don't know, because Yorubas and Hausas can marry themselves. They marry themselves more than Igbos and Yorubas. The union I haven't seen much of is Igbo and Hausa, and that's because Igbos are predominantly Christians and Hausas are predominantly Muslims. So of course, you know, different religions and doctrines, you just don't. But there are people who still do it. I know at least two couples, Igbo and Hausa, and they've been going fine. I mean, one is going fine and one recently got divorced.
But yeah, that's just a luck of any draw. It doesn't have to, necessarily be because of that. Just so
exactly.
it's wonderful to hear that we're all the same, and frustrating to hear that we'll always find something to fight about.
No, oh my God, Hans, you actually said the exact. Like, it's like, why do we have in every country there is some sort of segregation?
So I was talking to.
Why?
Have you heard of Vibe, the dating app?
Vibe, yeah.
So I was talking to the founder of that when I was doing all my Nigerian
okay.
and that comes up, and I am more interested, and this is again why I love this too. I am more interested in Nigeria and disrupt Africa and stuff that's going on than I have been ever before. So it's wonderful for me. And then he was saying, even aside from Yoruba and Igbo, there are sub-tribes within the larger tribe that may have their own issues with each other too. And so how that's why he wanted to get into this app too, because even if you have the ability to say Igbo or Yoruba, which most don't give you the ability, even then within those cultures themselves, there's not as much ways to self-identify on a lot of apps. So that's what they wanted to.
Okay, so first of all, I mean, you probably would have known this. We have 250 tribes. So the only ones
and
people get to hear is just
right?
3. And tribes too, right? So it's like most of the languages are in tribes as well. So you're thinking, first of all, we're very diverse. And then each of these tribes and languages, because I mean, language is culture. So with each language has their own culture. It's like, so you meet somebody who is from Efik, for instance, and the Efik people have certain cultures that are so opposite
And let
from,
me
say,
hop
the
in here for
outside.
people that don't know, Nigeria has over 200 million people in it. It is large and populous. So
Very. So already there's this feeling of we're too many tribes. How are you going to find the person your parents said you should find? Because, and then if you then look into, so for instance, the Igbo tribe itself. So in Igbo we have 5 states. So I don't know how I would relate that to America, for instance, but just imagine 5 states spoke like one language, for instance. But you'll be shocked to find out, Hans, that among these 5 states, all 5 of them still have strife towards each other. Like, they still have different cultures in the general culture. They still have different. So you can see someone Igbo,
old
Anambra.
family feuds and stuff like that.
Yeah. So you're seeing someone say, "I'm Igbo, Anambra, but don't marry Igbo, Enugu." And then you see someone, and then it's like, but I thought you said. So basically, your scope of marriage and dating is almost, they're trying to get you to literally marry your brother. Like, what is
Crazy, because
going
all
on?
parents want the best for our kids and give them what we can't, but do exactly the way that I did it. Like, you can't.
Exactly.
That's called cognitive dissonance. You can't hold
Yeah.
both of those ideas at the same time. And New York
Oh my
City has
God,
a lot of that too,
Africans are
because,
suffering from that.
we get a lot of first-generation immigrants here, in New York, in the New York City area. So there's always a lot of struggle, especially with Asian or Muslim, more conservative countries.
I
They
actually
want
always
them.
say
They
that
came here,
Asians, the
give
Africans are
them
the
everything,
same.
but still want that narrow way of acting, or heaven
Still
forbid,
hold them
bringing home.
back. Yeah, still dictate what is good and what isn't good, even when it's by their own, permit me, shallow standards. And it's like, you're not exposed, you don't know that much. Like, don't.
And
I hear you.
and as now having kids, starting to have kids myself again, like only young, I already find myself saying things that, like, you're just seeing every generation of since the dawn of humanity, just playing out all over again. What are these kids with this crazy new portable gaming system? When I was in my day, you went to the Nintendo and you flew on it, and that was just fine for me.
I know, we
it's
catch
funny how
ourselves doing the same things.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah. Oh, my favorite is like taking them to the playground that have all these little foamy things. And I'm like, man, back in my day, like you jumped off the swing, you ate gravel. Like, that was part of the risk of
And you
jumping off the
bleed.
swing. Like, you come back home, you got all skinned up, like you had a day. Now you
Oh
bounce.
my God, that is so true. That is so. Do you know, we do this? It's so funny how, like you said, we're so similar yet so different. Because it's the same thing here. It's like, how have you gone out to play if you don't have like a knee scab, if you don't have like an elbow wound? But now everything is, grass, everything is covered. There's kid safe, everything. And
Totally.
and then
Like,
you're
I remember,
tempted
I
to
grew up
rub
in
it
the
in.
country with 2 brothers. My parents being like, "Be back by dinner." We'd be off in the forests and the swamps,
Ooh, yeah,
playing and not dying, Anyways, so
true.
you talked about a lot of the strife that happens between the Igbo, the Yoruba, the other cultures. Do you guys have any like Romeo and Juliet type legends or stories of like loves, warring families, or any other little local legends or dating myths, or romantic stories, or lovers leap, or you know
So I don't think there's any older couple that young Nigerians will admire, because most of their relationship is built on misogyny and patriarchy. So it's not really something you want to look at and, oh no, there's no awe for those who are 50 and above. But I think I look at some couples who are 10 years in, they're not popular. So I would just use my pastor, for instance. So I go to a community church, and my pastor has been married for maybe 7 years. And literally, it's been like beautiful to watch. They have 2 girls, they're friends, they jab each other, they say the jokes. because they're friends. So, and then young millennials and Gen Zs are seeing now that the secret to maintaining relationships in Nigeria now is friendship. Because we live in a country that is, like I said, is destined to really mess you up. So dating here is almost like saying, I know you can kill me, but I know you can love me equally. So it's like a 50-50 thing. But then I see that their marriage is mostly friendship. And the other marriages of people who people might admire, which are mostly their bosses or their pastors. We don't have anybody older than that who we
That's
can
really
look
interesting.
at.
So you guys are creating your own stories right now, creating your own legends.
Exactly. Yeah. So I would say the beginning of the love stories might be from the 2010s in Nigeria. Yeah, 2010s
Well, here's to
till now.
creating many more. I hope that you guys, I
Yes.
mean, because as you know, representation matters in everything. And if people can see happy couples respecting each other and
Yeah.
oh, so
Yeah.
let's go back to like talking about the idea. So now, not even necessarily physically, how they're built, is the ideal woman a professional woman? Does she have a job, or is it there's still a lot of the expectations of stay at home or kid raising?
So in a state like Lagos, where I live, which is like New York, almost everybody works here. Like you have to be working. Like Lagos is a fast-moving city. So the ideal woman here in Lagos, almost I'm tempted to say must have a job. Like yeah, and especially because feminism has grown as well. So having a job, yeah. So if all my girls, I mean, we all have jobs. So everybody has a job. So the ideal woman is working. She is probably has her own company. So there are lots of women CEOs in Nigeria, probably more than the men. They're just small businesses,
It's happening
mostly small
globally, and one
business.
of the issues is that women are still won't let go of the looking up aspect. But now the women are all here, and there's only this much
Yeah,
to be, and these are the people that are either already taken or they're narcissistic sociopaths. So it's a whole culture of trying to like, hey, there's just
true. So
a
there's a
lot
lot
of
of that.
good, and it doesn't
Exactly.
mean that they have
If
to be
not,
poor or uneducated, but they might be a small business owner, or something like that. So it's something I struggle with a lot of my powerful women is they call it dating down. I didn't 30 years ago, 40 years ago here, if a man married his secretary, I mean, we had our own misogynistic issues and stuff to worry about, but if a man marries his secretary, he didn't call it dating down, he called it a compatible match, where people both bring something to the table. But now these women, I'm not dating down. It's not dating down. It's finding someone that
I
you're going to be happy with.
see that works in America, but the problem why women here will be so opposed to it is the culture. The misogyny here is something you don't want to see firsthand. So first of all, I'll give you an example. Last month or so, my husband and I went out and we got to the restaurants. And as we got down, the security there was a man and he goes, "Hello, sir. Good evening." And just walked past me like I was a ghost. And it's like, these are things we still have to see. So women don't like to date down in Nigeria because what that means is you're giving this man the authority to belittle you because they have a culture here where we say the woman works, but the money belongs to a man. That's how bad it is. So say I'm the CEO here, my husband doesn't work. Whatever I earn
And if he
will
doesn't
be
work,
given
he
to
probably makes
him.
poor financial decisions. And so
Exactly. So he's like, can I have 3,000 for
So
this?
it's
And
harder
because you're
culturally for a woman to, on her own, say, have her own status and have the respect of that. So, by somewhat of a necessity, needs to have someone at least on an equal level to allow that
exactly,
status to.
or you're setting yourself up for so much suffering. My mom did that and she's told me never do that. You would not make the same mistake I made. So these are the things that Nigerian women look at. And because we're in a world where there's also misogyny, that, for instance, your husband might die tomorrow and everything goes to your child or his brother and not to you. You're immediately bypassed. So with such a thing, you see Nigerian women making it known to you that they're here for the financial stability they get from. I used to drive a Nissan Xterra, but Nigeria has a culture of, if a woman is driving a car that big, you're either a sex worker, or you have a rich husband, or you have a rich dad. You cannot have the money on your own. So already with that mindset, you see that most women would rather have a richer husband than be richer themselves, because you're going to have to spend all your time debating why the money is yours, demanding respect.
And then always getting those side looks like, oh.
Exactly. People questioning everything you do. Nobody sees a rich man and thinks, he must be, I don't know. But you see a rich man and you assume that, she's probably,
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's rich. He's a good man. Whoa, those two things are not equal at all.
I know. It's so sad. It's so sad.
But you get what? Okay, well, let's, next generation. We can build things by generations, so that hopefully the next generations will have more opportunities because of the work that the previous generation.
Exactly. And I really applaud the women in my generation and the men as well, because the men, first of all, are on learning sexism, so they're understanding more what it means to be privileged. So for instance, my husband knows he's the privileged one in the relationship. He knows he's the one who would go out and people would listen to. So he uses that knowledge for my good. So if someone goes out to talk about, he's the first to say, it's actually hers, that sort of thing. And I like that our generation of people are also, so even being a housewife, most women now are getting paid for it here, which is something that has never happened in the history of this country before. Now, women who are housewives are being respected. Stay-home moms are being respected, because child, this child
as a choice and not as something that's being forced.
Thank you. So they're doing that as a choice. I have always said, once I have my baby, I'm a full-time mom by choice, not because I'm being subdued, And I like that women are able to make those choices now. I choose this, I choose that. It's still not everywhere. Maybe I'm speaking because I'm in Lagos. So Lagos is obviously the most, and Abuja, they're the most progressive states in the country. So
usually
things are different.
Where the most people are, where the most trade happens, the most influence people and ideas.
Exactly. So things are, I'm 24 now. I forgot that my birthday was last 2 weeks. So me being 24 now.
Birthday. Yeah, that a lot going on.
Look, Hunt, like the whole Christmas, January time is a whole time of celebrations. So being young, first of all, people look at me and think I married because I'm trying to escape my parents, or people look at you and think you married because you got pregnant. And in a country like Nigeria, getting pregnant before your wedding is like, what can I liken it to?
Is the view of premarital sex the same? Like,
yeah, first of all, like, it is, you're condemned. I won't even say you're judged. You're condemned. You're looked down on. People automatically and for the rest of your life label you as a promiscuous person. So you don't even want. So people see your wedding pictures of you being 22, and then they're sending DMs to their friends. Oh my gosh, she's probably pregnant. I can't believe it. Probably trying to hide her shame. And that is the reality of what it is. So that's why I said marrying and dating here is almost like you're opening yourself to rumors, to family problems, to ridicule. So we have a predominant problem in the country with married men. I don't know if you've heard about the notorious Lagos married man issue, where they lie about their marriages. So you go out on a Friday night, you and your girls, you're in a club or a bar.
And so is this how people, is this the scene? Is this how
yes,
young
this is the
folks
scene. Yeah.
Like you go out to a
so
club,
this is the millennial, so you get in your car, it's Friday evening, you go to a really nice bar, you're dressed up, makeup, heels, your long weave. The guys are all dressed up, and then you go out there, and then you see this nice guy walk up to you, oh, hi, and you're thinking, oh, he looks good. Hi, I'm this, I'm that. And then you ask him, okay, so what do you do for a living? And he goes, okay, I'm a maybe an IT guy. You know, okay, IT guys in Nigeria are rich guys, or majority of them are rich. And I go, okay, where do you live? Oh, I live in Lagos. So Lagos has the high end areas. So you know, like there's the richer parts,
Totally.
and then there's
Yeah.
the
Even in New York City, there's the high rises and the gritty, dirty underbelly
exactly
stuff.
true. Yeah. So that's how we have it here. So the person tells you they're from the high rise area, thinking, okay, nice. And then you notice that their ring finger has like sort of a mark of a ring that used to be there. And then you're like,
You just see them kind of even just doing this with their hand, like.
yes. And then you're like, are you married? And then they're like, yeah, sort of. And then you're wondering what sort of an answer is sort of. It's a
My
yes
favorite, I
or a
used to meet
no.
women and they would say, oh, yes, but we have an arrangement. I'm like,
Yes, so that's the one women say. So I was going to go. So men say sort of, women say, but we have an understanding or an arrangement. And it's like,
so there's a
what is
high,
going on?
there's a culture of infidelity. There's a culture of that's something.
Hunts, sadly, there's a really bad rising culture of infidelity.
Rising, interesting.
And I must say that it's becoming more brazen. So you see men who no longer lie. So you go from men telling you no, and then you finding out the wife, to them answering their wife's call in front of you and telling you, hold on, baby, and they're taking that call. And it's like, that's brazen, that's bold, and it has become, and I say rising because this used to be the behavior of the sugar daddies in their 50s and 60s. Now you have husbands in their 20s, 30s doing the same thing. And you're like,
Why
wow,
do
we're
they
finished
like?
then.
And
It's
I know
all
that
over.
there's
Like
no real
men in their
answer for this,
30s.
but why do they like? I get the sugar daddies in the 60s and 70s. Like, doesn't mean it's necessarily right, but I get it. Like, why necessarily would a person in their 20s choose to get married if this is the lifestyle that they wanted to lead? Why not just lead the lifestyle and not get married?
I think an answer for that, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I think an answer for that will be the culture. And I think this is a sad thing. Sex has become so hyper, like it's so everywhere. It's almost like a thing. Sex is like a market. It's a thing. It's everywhere. People are making casual of the fact that they have no self-control. They're like, oh yeah, I have like two boyfriends, one isn't enough for me. Or, oh yeah, I have like, two wives. Oh no, I have a wife and two girlfriends. They don't know themselves. I'm being sneaky. It's become cool. Sex, even in infidelity and all the rest of them, has become cool. So you find that people get married just so they can say I'm married, because in Nigeria and maybe this might be anywhere too. I don't know, but when you're married, people respect you more. So you see women want to be married because that's the only way people can respect you, and then men want to be married because that's the only way your business partners can
Right,
trust you.
you're a family man now. You're a provider. Okay,
Thank you, thank you,
Just
thank you. So you're a family man. That means
even here in the U.S., the studies show that if someone sees a picture of a family on a man's desk, it's looked at as a positive thing because he's a provider. If they see a picture of a family on a woman's desk, it's seen as a negative because they think it's going to be a drain on her time and resources.
Same. So these are
everywhere
these.
you go.
Thank you. So we're battling the same sexist bullshit everywhere, and then we're not having a rise of. And then so Nigerians are catching up to I think it's polyandry. No, not polyandry. When you're not
Polyandry is the
monogamous.
woman
Yeah.
has two husbands.
No, yeah. So that's not what I'm
Polyamory
trying to.
is the husband has two
Thank you.
wives.
Yeah. So we're moving, and before that used to be an Islam thing. In Nigeria, only the Muslim men are allowed to have more than one wife. But now, I mean, my father-in-law had 6 wives and he was Christian. And you're thinking, what is, and then guess what? So my mother-in-law is the 6th wife, and he had previously told her that she'll be coming in as the second. He lied. So, and that was all
About
the way
four
back.
other wives.
He had five. She was coming in as the 6th, and he told her she would come. So he literally, and that was
Are
in
they
the
in
19th.
different homes? Like, were they all in different physical locations?
He built bungalows for each of them in the same compound. It's a war
He's
house.
got
Like,
some balls.
so you see things like this and you're thinking, and then you're thinking this is in the 70s. Now we're in 2010s, and you're seeing a rise of somebody who is 25. And so, I mean, obviously, because the world has also normalized, getting married and getting divorced. It's like if you're married and divorced in 2 weeks, it's not bad. You probably got fed up. So we live in a country where instead of dating somebody, you just like them and go straight to marrying them.
So that's
And
what
then you
dating is kind of
realize,
like you go on you meet somebody out, you exchange, hey, you're cute. We have a few dances together, you exchange information. What comes next?
welcome there. So when are we getting married? And then mostly that comes from the woman who is being pressured by her family. In Nigeria here, once
So
you're
you're good enough. You
22,
see me fit in all these things. Let's just go ahead and do this, and then figure it out along the way.
exactly, and then you're like, I don't know about that. Exactly. So it's like, that's not the way it's supposed to be. But then we've moved from that to another one now, which is the situationships, hunt. So you have people in the talking stage with like 20 different people, and it's like, how are you keeping up with each person's favorite food? Like, what are you doing? Because you're talking,
Let me
and
tell
then
you, it
what
takes
they
a lot of skill.
it does. It Hunt, I feel like this is a personal experience for
There was a
you.
time, obviously pre my wife and stuff like that. I happened to be dating 3 Lauras at the same time, so I had to refer to them as L1, L2, and L3, just so I could kind of keep them straight in my head.
No, no. You coded them
I was
by
doing a lot of market research for my current job and industry. That's I'm gonna call it that.
that is a full-time job. See, I was
Dude,
about to
let me
say
tell you about one time that I won't say it came back to bite me, but I had to face the music. So I was very honest and upfront about where anyone was with me, because I always liked that person was there because they wanted to be there and they knew where they stood. So I was very oversharing and honest. So I think people found that at least refreshing, that they knew where they were. And there were times when I would be dating multiple people and people were understanding that. But like I said, I was honest about it. So I'm out with a date with a girl, Rhonda, and we walk into a bar, and at the bar is Emily. And I was also dating Emily. So I had a second to make a decision. So I was doing nothing wrong. If I turn tail and run out, it looks like I am admitting that I am doing something wrong, even though I'm not doing something wrong. And also, all right, Hunt, if this is the lifestyle that you want to live, you have to
own it.
medicine.
You have to own it.
So I walked directly up to her and introduced the two of them, and just kind of took it head on. They hit it off. We hung out all night. We did not have a threesome. If I had a bigger bed, I think we might have. But we all go back
Because
to my house.
I was going to ask.
And I'm like, I gotta go to bed, and I can't choose. There's no right answer here. There's no way that So I was just kind of like, I'm gonna go to bed. I'll let you guys figure it out. And went upstairs, and the woman that I was on the date with that night was the one.
Hunt, you have to write
in the morning,
about this.
the other girl, Emily, had slept on the couch, and we all had breakfast. I know that's not the way that it's supposed to go. It should have gone horrible. But I think because I took the balls to just, admit it at least sidestepped what could have happened.
Hunt, that was probably 1 in 1,000 cases where that went well.
I know.
Oh, okay, good then. Because
I fully expected it to go horrible, and I was fine with it. I had to,
because in this country there would have been hands, there would have been fighting, spilling of drinks, curse words, the police.
I'm not saying that doesn't happen nightly here in New York City as well too. I think
it does because I sort of read articles on Medium about like weird dating experiences, and I'm thinking these Americans are bold. If we try that here, Hunt, we're finished though.
Well, what's a funny dating story from your own life, or like interesting, or a good date or a bad date, or something, so we can understand like what's going on?
So I think a bad dating experience. A friend of mine had this just 2 months. So there's this guy who likes her and had been calling her, and she wasn't interested. She was like, not in the mood. Eventually, they stopped talking, and then randomly 2 months ago, he reached out to her and was like, "Hi, babes. I'm in Abuja. We should have dinner. It'll be nice, romantic candles." And then she's thinking, okay, I mean, like you've asked me so long, I might as well just go for this. Hunt, and the rest of the night you're about to be blown. So she goes to the date, and the guy orders like, fancy food, ribs and filet mignon. So these things are a big deal here because they're not our local food, they're not the jollof fries and the spaghettis, and then they eat like food worth $500. It was a lavish one in one night. And then it's time to pay. And then of course the usual patriarchy culture here, the waiters come to the man and they give him his card, and then he just goes so cold. This is his face. "Oh, I don't have an ATM card. Can you pay?" My friend,
just the audacity, just in general.
Thank you.
And then
the audacity for me. It's the audacity for me. It's the I just remembered. Oh, it slipped my mind.
If I was spending that much, I'd be like making sure I could cover.
We had a $500
just using
meal.
her for one meal, or did he think that she would want to see him again?
I think. Look, Hunt, till today we don't know because he blocked her.
So what happened at the actual restaurant? So like what did they have to do, or what happened?
So obviously she's like, "Excuse me," and then so she tells the attendants to like give them a minute, and then she's like, "What's going on here?" And he's like, "Oh, he forgot to tell her, but he doesn't have an ATM card and he can't transfer either because he doesn't have the bank app on his phone." And she's like, "So how did you think we were going to pay?" And then he goes, "Oh, I thought you were going to pay." And she's like, "I was at home. You asked me for a fancy, you said, 'Can I take you?'" And then of course she sent me the screenshot. "Can I take you on a fancy day, candles, everything?" It sounded like, a night leading up to like romance.
Totally. Yeah, no, they scumbag using like squiggling around to find the right. I never said I was going to pay. Motherfucker. But if you say I'm going to take you out, you're going to take me out.
Hans, that was me and my friend.
Did they keep the guy there? Did they arrest him, or did they let him go, or what? Did she have to pay?
So that's the thing. She had to pay because the people came back, and then it was like minutes, and they're like, so it was a really fancy restaurant where they book by reservation. So it's like, we need to clear the table for the next. And she had to bring out her card.
And then you want to get out of there.
Thank you. She was like, "I can't,"
know
because
that.
she's quite.
They do it because they know that you won't make a scene.
Thank you. That's what I said. Oh my God. Do you know, Hunt? I actually told her, I'm like, I believe he did that because he knows you would never have made the same.
Find the nice girls, you know.
Thank you. And she's so nice, so sweet. So, oh, how can I help you?
There's some girls here in New York City that refer to dating as the New York meal plan.
No.
It is expensive city to live in. And so, you know, they will make 5 dates a week at night so they get their food paid for. I can't argue necessarily with it as long as everyone's aware of what's going on, but it's, you know.
Thank you. So I think that's the key word we need to add. People are not really aware of these things that go on, because I would never agree to a $500 date if I didn't have the money, because I will make my jollof rice at home.
And also, this is to me, like, I don't see, to me, I tell my clients, I wouldn't go to a restaurant until the third date. I don't know if you're worth $500 yet. I don't know if I have 2 hours worth of conversation to have with you yet, you know? And so you also know when someone's doing that, they're virtue signaling what they think is going to attract someone.
Sadly, in this country, first dates have to be at the restaurants. It's almost like a rule. I don't know why.
It's sort of still a rule here. People just do it, but I'm trying to get people to not do it.
Exactly. And Nigerians don't have so many options. So I've seen people who try to have like startups or ideas about dates other than restaurants and movies, especially in a pandemic. You know, everyone was used to movie and restaurants, and it's like,
your video went away. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, someone called me. I had to cut the call. Let me just put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Okay. So, can you see me? Yeah,
yep.
I'm back. So it's like compulsory. It's either we're at the restaurant. So first dates are for restaurants. Second dates are for movies. And then third dates are for the homes. So that's where you have the Netflix.
And fourth date is the wedding.
Exactly. You have us figured out.
So Socrates, Socrates says, I can learn more about a man in an hour of play than in a lifetime of conversation. So one of the things that I always encourage my clients to is to do an activity date of some sort, because how do you react to competition? How do you react to someone, you know, being ball busting you? How do you react to the person, like a waiter or a waitress? You know, those things are going to tell you more about the individual than what they're saying to you. Are you still there? Stephanie? Hello? Okay.
Hi, Hunt. Yeah, I'm so sorry. People won't stop. Yeah.
It's all right. I was just going to start telling jokes until you got back anyways. So please continue.
Yeah. So what was I? Okay, I'm just going to go into a story about my personal dating experience. I think I haven't said that. So first of all, there's a purity culture here, right? So there's an age for dating, age for sex, age for everything. And then the moment you start dating, and so I must say that I'm a light-skinned person, which in my country almost means I have what's the word? I don't want to sound. I have more privileges
in every freaking country.
Yeah, exactly. So the colorist here. Oh my God.
Somebody really, really wants to talk to you. When did you get that picture taken that is like up right now that you use for LinkedIn?
Hunt, I have bad news. I'm so sorry. I have an emergency and I have to go off, if that's okay.
No problem. Well, what's one piece of advice that, like, if you'd say relationship advice or dating advice that you would leave us with?
Okay, that's my favorite. Okay, what will I'd say please be very sure of the person you're with and dating before you marry them. I really want to say we shouldn't breed the culture of just finding out people and walking down the aisle the next day. I think get to know someone, get to know their family, get to know their values, and really be sure that okay, this is somebody who I can spend the rest of my life with before you do that. And then for people who are dating, what I would say is, especially in Nigeria, or I mean, let me just be broad. What I would say with dating in the world is try and date somebody who can make you laugh. Like, I mean, I've had this entire almost 2 hour call with you, and there's never been a dull moment. I can't imagine if we had to talk and it's like, yeah. So
Being able
that's
to make each other laugh is important.
exactly. It was such a very beautiful. So I mean, not like me and you, but like this sort of friendship relationship. I'm a champion for having that before you do anything further. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much
Thank you
for
so much, Hans,
being
for having
here.
me.
This is great.
Thank
We will
you.
talk again, and obviously let me know if I can ever do anything for you. And thank you for educating
Oh,
me
thank you,
and all
Hans.
of us on Nigeria. So
Thank you. Please stay well to your family.
thank you. You
Love
as
them
well. Tell your
already.
husband we'll talk sometime.
I will. Bye
All right.
bye. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.